everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer for the week ahead. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. This is going to be the astro weather for May 21st through the 28th of 2023. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you guys like my content, consider joining my memberships. And donations are always welcome for my work. I appreciate it. Sharing is caring. Even a comment, especially if you're a new first-time subscriber, or a thumbs up is really helpful with the algorithm. Big thank you guys so much. We've got a lot going on this week. So I've kind of broken it down into the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I think we all could use a little bit of good news. I'm kind of affectionately referring to this week ahead as Haze Week. I'll get into why in just a second. But let's start with the good, okay? Because I think we all need a little bit of good news. The good is that you and we all survived eclipse season for spring of 2023. So high five to you. I know the last couple weeks have been rather intense, but since we just had this new moon in the sign of Taurus, we have wrapped up the eclipses that we had in Aries as well as Scorpio. So we've got like a 6-month reprieve until we're back at it, and we're going to be having the eclipses taking place again. So we are now starting this new lunar cycle, and it's all about getting grounded, getting safe, getting secure, okay? That late degree new moon in Taurus is all about getting back in our bodies, being able to really feel stable and give ourselves all of the things that we need. So I guess the question is, how are you doing? I always laugh. I always think about that because I always start my sessions talking to clients and being like, how's it going? How are you feeling? You know? And so if you're not somebody who gets asked how you're doing, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're faring with the weather. And do consider asking other people how they're feeling. What's bringing you pleasure these days? That's something I want you to think about. How are you being better about being in your body? This week, aromatherapy, buying yourself some flowers, having some good quality food, or taking a stroll outside will be your best friend. So when in doubt, kind of get back into the body, find simple ways to be able to ground your energy. I've heard lots of really good recommendations from people. If you're somebody who's into like body work, or if you work with aromatherapy or crystals, please leave your recommendations below. But really, we want to work with the element of earth. And because Taurus has connections to Venus, flowers, like I said, herbal remedies, working with aromatherapy, putting some stuff in some diffusers as you're relaxing and, trying to catch a nap if you can find the time to do that can make a world of difference. Hugs, the physical connection, pleasure, right? Physical touch, that's a huge theme connected to Taurus. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because something that you're going to see all week long is all of these placements in Taurus, Jupiter, the North Node, Mercury, Uranus, are all going to be the focal point of squares between Pluto, I affectionately refer to as Hades, Lord of the Underworld, and Mars and Leo, which is going to be very action-packed, very boastful, very creative and charismatic. But I think that we want to work more with these Taurus energies to better kind of counterbalance what's going to be a very uncomfortable grand fixed cross. So I have been really putting out this content the whole last week. I've got videos on Jupiter's ingress into Taurus. I talk about this in the May horoscopes. I also talked about Mars through Leo. In each of those videos, I keep bringing up and driving home the significance of the intensity of this particular square. So to better navigate some of this stuff, you guys really want to be focusing on what you can do to keep cool, calm, and collected. I don't know, I read something the other day that was talking about how many hugs you need. Has anybody heard this? I guess the number seems to vary. But I read this and I saved it. So apparently a world-renowned family therapist, Virginia Satir, is famous for saying we need 4 hugs a day for survival, we need 8 hugs a day for maintenance, and 12 hugs a day for growth. 12 hugs a day, that's a real commitment. Survival, right, is, in my opinion, very Scorpio. maintenance and just being able to do the bare minimum, that could be Saturn. So we've got Saturn in Pisces. But what we really want is growth. Okay, so I'm hoping you guys are aiming to get those at least 8, maybe 12 hugs a day. Even if you got to hug your dog, even if you have to hug your best friend, your coworker, a stuffed animal. But obviously, human connection is going to be so important throughout this next week. That's what's going to help us, I think, stay a little bit better, cool, calm, and collected. It reminds me of the phrase, cooler heads or cooler minds will prevail. Because we're going to watch Mars and Pluto kind of duke it out with these oppositions. And all of these planets are hitting that 0 degrees this week, which is going to be very potent. And as planets come into squares in the fixed signs, it's creating this grand fixed cross, which is indicating we are in for a world of change, life-changing events all week long. If I think of like, Venus in Cancer, or Jupiter and the North Node and Mercury in Taurus, I think of like the wisdom that comes from taking things slow, from, being, like I said, cool, calm, and collected, from being grounded and also aiming for peace, right? Maybe not necessarily resolution, but peace. So this square got me thinking about, maybe you guys have seen it, especially if I have people who are a little bit more mature who watch my channel, that famous picture, Flower Power. Have you guys seen that? I'll try to see if we can maybe get a snapshot of the picture so you guys can see what I'm referencing. Flower Power is the title of a photograph that was taken by American photographer Bernie Boston for the Washington Evening Star. Now, this photo was taken on October 21st, 1967, during the March of the Pentagon by the National Mobilization Committee to end the war in Vietnam. And the photo shows a protester by the name of George Harris placing a carnation into the barrel of a M14 rifle that was being held by a soldier of the 503rd Military Police Battalion, Airborne. Anyway, so the photo went on to be nominated for a 1967 Pulitzer Prize. But if you see the picture, you see him just placing that flower inside of the rifle. So it reminds me of this square because obviously, Taurus wants peace and Jupiter is very wise, knowing that it's smarter to be cool, calm, collected rather than, fighting or, mobilizing or, being that kind of aggressive archetype of Mars. And it's also squaring Pluto, which wants intensity and it wants conflict and it wants kind of like the chaos to brew. So I want you guys to navigate through going throughout this week, really thinking about that, where there are opportunities to be able to create peace in what can be some really hostile exchanges, and to encourage other people to just kind of cool it a little bit as we start to see some really inflamed egos kind of happen out in the world. We've also got the sun entering into Gemini. So for the next couple of weeks, things are going to lighten up. Right off the bat, we see the sun come into a trine with Pluto. Beautiful. We're also going to see the sun sextile Mars for the first couple of days of the transit. So it's gonna help us get active. So you guys are probably going to feel that energy kick in with air and fire. That's really encouraging us to get up, move around, pick up a book, venture to a new side of town, call that friend that we haven't spoken to in a while and have a chit chat. Still, okay, there are some really intense energies in the sky. So it's all about how you use some of these aspects, but I'm trying to be more optimistic where we have some intense squares. We can lean into these trines that are happening to Pluto that's encouraging us to change, to communicate and talking about change collectively. This is how we make lemonade while we're working with Pluto. All right, so here's the bad, right? And good and bad is all relative, but here is the bad. We haven't even gotten to the ugly yet. And this is why I was referring to this as Haze Week. Those of you guys who know what I'm referring to, hazing has been a tradition for many years, dating back to ancient Rome and Greece. It then transferred to European college students in the Middle Ages and eventually came to the United States in higher institutions. This all originated in order to teach freshman students humility and obedience to their peers. So what do I mean by this? We're all getting hazed all week, okay? So like, welcome to the shit show. Nobody's gonna get a pass, as much as I hate to say that. I think that while particular signs, especially the fixed signs, the first 5 degrees of the fixed signs are going to feel this a little bit more. So if you're a sun, moon, rising, or personal planet within 0 to 5 degrees of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, hold on, buckle up, because things are going to get kind of colorful, and things might be coming at you very quickly, right? And you're going to have to kind of think on your feet. Why do I say this is connecting to like being hazed? Well, you know, obviously throughout series of events in Haze Week, you see like all kinds of just ridiculous things happening. You're really being pushed to your limits. There's all kinds of embarrassing situations that you're put in. There is a sense of like kind of being brought to your breaking point. Now, in recent years, hazing has been something that's been kind of not frowned upon, but I mean, we've seen kids get hurt. We've seen some really serious and really screwed up things happen with some hazing situations. So I'm not making light of that. But we can see very quickly where the pressure of wanting to fit in, the pressure of wanting to be accepted, of wanting to be cool, can lead to some situations that can be flat out dangerous and stupid. So we want to watch for those dangerous and stupid situations all week long. And I say that because Mars is definitely out there. It's wanting to show off. It's wanting to perform. And it wants to be the best when it's in Leo, and it will do whatever it takes to be able to really catch a little bit of its moment in the spotlight. So we can see some people really exercising their machismo personalities. We can see a lot of people going toe to toe and challenging each other and being confrontational. And then also we see the Mars-Pluto aspect, which can be just flat out dangerous. It can be deadly, okay? So on one hand, I want you guys to be little warriors for peace, but on the other hand, you guys need to be aware of your surroundings. This energy is explosive, okay? Keep in mind that the squares haven't started yet to Uranus, but still Pluto in Aquarius is combining that energy of Pluto's almost like volcanic power with, you know, Aquarius's like need for chaos. It's like the mad scientist. So having Mars and Pluto come into this opposition, we can see things blow up. We can see speed or, you know, being too confrontational lead to some really dangerous and disastrous type of situations. So take a look, pay attention to what's around you. It's a time to definitely slow down, maintain, you know, the speed limit. Be very mindful when you guys are working with vehicles or you're using sharp objects or anything like that, because whenever we get speed and danger kind of in the mix, there can definitely be a sense of like, you know, going a little too fast and taking some risks that we shouldn't be taking. And when we have planets square the nodes, which we're going to see this week, we're feeling a very long, and I warned you guys earlier this year, I said as soon as we get into April, you guys are going to start feeling Pluto and Aquarius coming into a square with the nodes, and it's going to represent like fragmented pieces of our souls that need to be worked through and worked on and brought back together. Now, this can mean fragments of society, where society is brought together through some kind of unexpected, you know, chaos, through some kind of crisis. It unites people. I think that's the positive side of what could happen. But the negative side is that through crisis, it's putting us in a situation where we have to act. So in evolutionary astrology, when Pluto squares the nodes, it represents the need to access our past life pain and access that fear and that trauma and work through that. And so it looks like the ways that people are going to be expressing that is going to be through Mars. Now you have two options. You can go the path of Mars in Leo, that is going to want to dance and sing and perform and create and share and educate and be with younger people and choose fun and choose life and choose love. Or you can be on the other end of the spectrum and you can be arrogant and selfish and reactionary and mean and dominant. Okay, we're going to see with Pluto, you know, Mars aspects, definitely some dominant personalities. And we could also see some people who aren't necessarily playing by the rules, because Mars-Pluto can indicate where people are kind of abusing their power. So you're going to have to act this week, guys, okay? The Mars transit is moving much faster than Pluto. So you'll see a couple days here where Mars is hanging around like 2 to 4 degrees of Leo, that it will square the nodes, and it's going to represent that we need to take some kind of action. And that action is going to be connected to our heart, because Leo is ruled by the sun, or it's connected to our heart. So it's interesting to watch like the aspects between the sun and Mars. I think it's really helping us communicate and express our heart's desires and what we love and what we need. And it's the way out of getting kind of caught up in some of the power plays that can take place throughout this next week. So nobody gets a pass with planets square the nodes, big evolutionary stuff happening. It's a time where we're moving away from our collective past and moving into the collective future, but only if we make moves. So the question for you all is, are you going to be the villain or are you going to be the hero? Right? That's what you really want to ask yourself. There's no room for victims here right now. There's no option, as much as I hate to say that. And while there may be some victims, unfortunately, from some of the events that take place over the next week, when it comes to you on a personal level, you want to ask yourself, are you going to be in alignment with Pluto, or are you going to be in alignment with Mars? Not many people realize, but Mars has this connection to the hero, the warrior, right? The redeemer, somebody who's able to kind of come out on top against all odds. And Mars is against all odds with an opposition to Pluto and a square to the nodes. And so some of the people who are going to be leading the way throughout the next week or two are going to be younger people. So Mars in Leo is going to be about younger, creative, expression-based people. It can be about artists, performers, self-employed, people in Hollywood, people in entertainment. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I'm hoping that you guys align with being a hero, being the main character, really, of your own life. That's what Leo is all about. All right, so here's the ugly. Okay, so the ugly is this: stay away from angry mob mentality. Whether it's attacking people in a Facebook group or if you see shit going down on the street, be very, very careful. Taurus deals with stampedes. Okay, so this may not be literal, it could be, but I could see this being like figurative, of where, everybody is going in one direction because they're feeling like they need to respond in a certain way. It creates scenarios where Pluto is then going to say, now we're taking away that right. Now we're going to, go into, I don't want to say like lockdown, but now we're going to take away certain freedoms, or now we're going to go into, periods where we're having curfew in some places. We may see that actually. So be careful where, almost like the flames are being fanned in certain situations to try to get people riled up and to, get them to rush into a situation because it may be a trap. I don't like saying that, but that's my interpretation of this. Try to stay cool. Conflict and aggression can definitely get out of hands. I think we're going to hear more throughout this week revolving around like self-defense and also like gun rights and individual rights. And I think that we could see some situations where people are like mobbing and swarming something. Taurus could be supermarkets. It could be ATMs. It could be banks, right? So I wonder where this is going to play out archetypally in the world, where the angry mob mentality shows up because people are getting angry about, what they can or cannot possess and what they feel entitled to, what they feel is owed to them. Watch for self-righteousness all around, okay? So, people who think that their beliefs and their morals are better than everyone else's, everybody's going to have an opinion, and you know what we say about that. Jupiter in Taurus and Jupiter and Mercury in the North Node. Wisdom is not loud. Confidence is not loud. There is a way to speak very simply and very firmly without feeling like we need to talk down on other people. I feel really strongly that it's really important to be mindful of how we're communicating to other people, that our words are very powerful right now, and it has the opportunity to really kind of have groups of people sway one direction or another. So yes, we're out of Mercury retrograde, but Mercury is still in the shadow. It's possible we might see some religious or financial extremism, okay? Jupiter is connected to, philosophy, beliefs, things in regards to culture. The squares to Pluto is very fanatical, and the squares between Mars and Jupiter is very extreme in terms of its action. So this is generally the kind of energy that we see when Unfortunately, people storm into places of worship, or people storm, capitals, or they do things like that because they have very strong beliefs. So throughout the next week or so, you guys want to be really mindful that you want to be careful about, if you're going and protesting, who's around you and what's around you, and whether or not that's a safe place to be, whether or not the people that you're surrounding yourself with are going to be kind of keeping their cool, and whether or not, people are going to be acting out and acting impulsively, because acting impulsively is a huge theme with the Jupiter-Mars square. Show up, right? I guess that's the big thing, is show up. And some of you guys are going to listen to this and go like, well, it's contradicting. You're telling me to stay out of the way, but also telling me to do something. Doing something doesn't mean you have to physically be in a place where there's groups of people. Doing something can be writing your congressman. It can be, submitting a question to a news network and seeing if they'll follow up on a story that's important to you. It can be getting involved in a cause that you're really passionate about and helping your community. It can be about being a leader for younger people. It's not always about picking fights in parking lots and being a social justice warrior on the internet. Showing up and doing something this week. You guys really know that I tell you all the time, it pays to know your natal astrology. So you guys got to take a look at where Leo is in your chart. Mars is going to be the one who is action oriented. And yes, actions have consequences because Mars squares the nodes and it opposes Pluto. Quite literally, archetypally, sometimes with the Mars and Leo transit, we're following our own heart's desires, our passions. We're going after what we love. We're proud for what we believe in. We're taking actions and really showing up in the world, and we're being loud. And the opposition to Pluto and Aquarius means you might lose a few friends in the process. That's the truth of the matter. So not everybody is going to be on your team. You may realize that you having a moment where you're feeling very expressive and very excited and thrilled about something going on in your life. We may see some misery loves company situations. And so the unfortunate side of the opposition to Aquarius can mean that we realize that some people aren't really cheering for us. Some people don't want to see us succeed. Some people will come and bring the storm cloud to the party. And so we can't allow that to impact or affect our sense of feeling good enough, feeling worthy enough, feeling lovable, feeling valuable. And this is where it really pays to be your own best friend, to be your own champion, to show up and feel like you're doing the right thing and being the best version of yourself every single day in the next couple of weeks. So very important. Mars square the nodes is going to push everybody, depending on where Mars is in your chart, into action, okay? So you want to look at Gemini because there's going to be some sense of communicating, moving, learning, sharing. And then the sextile to Mars is going to be where you're going to see that action actually transpire. Save the temper tantrums and the drama for your mom. We don't want to hear it. We're definitely going to see some people have some meltdowns with the Pluto-Mars oppositions. There can definitely be some really intense, over-the-top, dramatic, like chest bumping, getting into it with other people because people are going to feel like they're not getting their way, or they're not being heard, or they're not being seen. That's definitely something you want to be mindful of, that there can be this energy of throwing tantrums and having dramatic kind of fits out in public. That can very much be a thing. I'm sure all of us will observe this in some way or another throughout the next week or so. And like I said, with the squares and with the North Node and Jupiter in Taurus, cooler heads prevail. So when in doubt, take a breath, count to 10, take a step back, ground your energy out, ask yourself, do you really want to get involved in that? Right? Not your monkeys, not your circus. This energy reminds me of volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, extreme heat, pressure, and breaking through. I've had so many people comment on my videos. I actually talked about this in the new moon in Taurus. And I guess there was a volcanic eruption in Hawaii. Yes, I know they happen all the time, but I guess or an earthquake. And then apparently there was like a small earthquake in New York. Anyway, keep them coming. I'd love to hear. I'm not constantly checking in with where the earthquakes are, but these squares, because Taurus is the earth, and because Mars can be heat or pressure, can be talking about the pressure within the earth. Keep in mind, we've got sextiles from Taurus to planets in Pisces, so I'm really watching those earthquakes that are taking place offshore, things that might trigger, you know, some really significant weather or some alerts for, you know, tsunamis and other things. So I'm not necessarily just looking at stuff that's happening physically on continents. It can be things that are actually under the ocean. And also just a buildup of pressure, right? But you'll see this in the world in general. It's a buildup in pressure of the political climate and the financial situations and all of that stuff. You know, having Mars move through Leo is definitely going to kick up a lot of heat. And whether that's, you know, heat revolving around action, sports, romance, you know, that's all Leo's kind of game. I'm also curious to see what's happening with certain lotteries because, you know, taking chances is very much Leo, and the squares to Jupiter. I wonder if the next couple of weeks we're going to see some pretty significant lottery payouts. We might see some big numbers in certain places over the world. And watch for Wednesday. So if there's one takeaway that you get from my weekly this week is watch for Wednesday. Pull out your red Sharpie. I want you to like circle Wednesday. You know, plan to like come home, have a face mask, take it easy, chill, because Wednesday is definitely going to be a much more intense day. Shift hits the fan. We have some of the first real oppositions now that Pluto is in Aquarius. And we're also going to be seeing some lunar transits that are going to be activating some things here as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the week ahead. We're going to start with today, Sunday the 21st. So for all my Sunday morning crew people, I hope you guys are having a good one. We see that the sun has moved into Gemini, so it is the start of Gemini season. So if you are a May Gemini, happy birthday to you. Your birthday's coming up. And we start with the sun in Gemini, the moon in Gemini. So we're just coming off of that new moon in Taurus, brand new lunar cycle. This is busy, right? Having the sun and moon in Gemini is busy. But we're seeing a couple squares that are setting up here. You saw the last like 2 days or so, the moon has been in a square to Saturn, and then it's going to be coming into a square with Neptune. For the most part, that can be feeling like a little bit confused when it comes to emotions and how we relate to other people, how we share or assess information. So be mindful of the confused emotions that can come up. But I'm really loving the fact that we do have the sun in a trine to Pluto. So lots of zeros here, guys. 0, 0, 0. It's basically saying like we have brand new energy in the Gemini area, in the Leo area, in the Aquarius area. And we really want to work with the sun trine Pluto. It's one of my favorite, I think, aspects for this week. Powerful. This is powerful. When the sun trines Pluto, we're tapping into our personal power, our core purpose, our talents. So with the sun in Gemini, we're sharing, communicating, learning, moving around, and open to changing up our ideas or changing our mind. And how do we do that? We do that through connecting with other people. Pluto in Aquarius is about groups. It's the collective. I think it's going to get people talking. It's going to get people to learn how to share and kind of engage a little bit. So it's a great social day. Even in spite of the moon square Neptune, you're not really going to catch that square until later in the day. That moon's going to keep on moving, and it looks like it's going to fall into the square sometime around the late afternoon. And you're going to see the moon and Neptune square at a 27. So depending on where you are, late afternoon, kind of dinner time. So the first half of this day is great. I mean, you know, the lunar transits move quickly. When the moon's in Gemini, there's just a lot of changing of plans. So there can be a sense of like, oh, I thought I had plans with somebody, didn't hear back from them, wonder what's going on. You can override that. There's some other aspects in the skies that make me feel like when in doubt, all you have to do is just reach out to somebody, clarify. Some of the lessons that I've learned personally when we've had planets, you know, or I guess lunar transits square Saturn has been to not assume. This is going to be the first season that we're going to see as planets moving through Gemini are squaring Saturn and Neptune. Venus has already done it. Mars has already done it. So now we have the sun and the moon. We'll have Mercury that'll come through here in square as well Don't assume, right? It's also going to be about showing up and learning to communicate rather than evading a situation. So not calling people back, not getting back to people. We're going to learn through Gemini season that, you know, it's so important to be able to communicate and have clarity rather than to make assumptions. That's pretty much all day. You're going to see later in the evening, the moon's going to segue into Cancer, where it's more comfortable, and we're going to be waking up to that moon in Cancer on Monday morning, the 22nd. And as we wake up to that, the moon is starting to come into a trine with Saturn. So pretty nice aspects. I'm digging it. The trine to Saturn, the trine to the South Node. This is about reflecting on the past, focusing on home, family, domestic situations. And the moon is coming into the same sign as Venus. So we're going to have, in spite of some of the other heavy things that are going on, some pretty awesome aspects. I didn't mention it because it actually started on Saturday, but Mars and Pluto have been in opposition to each other, okay? So keep in mind, in the background, Jupiter and the North Node are in Taurus. So Mars going into Leo immediately is met by a square to Jupiter and also Pluto, and that energy is going to ride clear until the end of this week. So it's hanging around. Just know by the time you guys are watching this, the Mars-Pluto challenge between the villain and the hero is already kind of in the air. But I'm digging, like I said, the moon trine South Node. We're clearing and purging the emotional past. We're reflecting on the past and the need for security. And we're getting stronger with our emotions and our sensitivity. Great kind of intuitive, emotional, psychic tapping in day. I'm digging that. And then we're also going to see that the moon is not only trining Saturn, but it's also sextiling Jupiter and the North Node and Mercury. So there's a lot of like, how do we learn how to communicate and have better boundaries within home, family, and relationships to be able to ensure that, you know, we feel safe and secure and we've got what we need. So many themes revolving around communication this week. It's pretty wild. And then we're also going to be seeing the Sun and Mars still continue in their sextile. So from the moment that the Sun today moves into Gemini, it's sextiling Mars. So there's communication, ideas, and action. This is like walking and chewing gum and calling people and walking the dog. Like we're multitasking, and there's a sense of just the flow of things picking up very quickly. So Monday may be quite a busy day, actually. All right, so then this is going to take us to Wednesday. So this will be the 23rd. Excuse me. This is going to be Tuesday. Hello, Tuesday the 23rd. We wake up in the morning. Here we go. And the moon and Venus are in conjunction, probably when you're waking up. So that's kind of nice depending on where you are. A little bit earlier on the West Coast, a little bit later on the East Coast, but still moon kissing Venus. I like it. Really soft, sweet, sentimental, emotional, nurturing. I'm loving these two placements together. It makes me feel like it's picking up also the sweetness of this Jupiter North Node Mercury. It may be a time where we are just more willing to kind of share our love for our family, our love for our partnerships. It's also starting to pick up a trine to Neptune. Now it's about 10 degrees, but still, this is where we see some kind of like emotional, dreamy, sentimental kind of energy that's tapping in. And it's going to help us still continue to help move through some of these Mars squares. This is where I tell you guys to go and put the flowers, right, in people's fists who are getting ready to fist fight. Go and put them in the explosive situations, right? Offer peace and grace and understanding when other people kind of lose their cool. When the moon and Venus come together and they sextile Mercury, anything is possible through communication and being able to help people feel understand and heard. So there can be room for people jumping to conclusions and getting kind of heated and making assumptions, because I think this is the kind of the climate that we're in right now. There's so many people who just, they want to fight, right? They're just looking for a fight. But when we show up to the square off with understanding and patience and letting other people know that we're not looking to have issues, we're looking to diffuse issues, we might see that have like a domino effect on other people, especially on Tuesday. Because like I said, Wednesday is when things get intense. Now, Mars is still in opposition to Pluto, but now it is hitting that square to Jupiter. So those of you guys who are astrologically sensitive, by the time you're watching this, you're probably like, I'm already feeling that. So yes, it is not unusual for people to be feeling this early, but likely those of you guys who are starting to feel it, you're going to start feeling it on Tuesday night. And Mars coming into a square with Jupiter is really inflating anything in regards to, jumping to conclusions, getting a little egotistical, getting a little bossy, wanting to kind of steal the spotlight, wanting all the attention to be on you. Some interesting stuff going on here, considering that Venus is the dispositor of the North Node, Jupiter, and Taurus. So there is a way to be able to kind of communicate and get the point across to people in a loving manner, not in a way where we're feeling like we have to kind of bully or, be pushy or be forceful. Mars is entering into the territory now where it's basically in a full-blown grand fixed square. So 90-degree angles, getting picked up from all the fixed signs. This is where the wheel of the chart really turns. So when we see all that pressure in the fixed signs, they're all pressuring each other to change. Generally, the faster moving planets are what are going to trigger this change. So right now it's actually going to be Mars, and then we'll see it get picked up also on Wednesday when the moon ingresses into Leo, and it's going to pick up that square as well. I'll show you in a second. So that's pretty much happening all day on Tuesday. We're going to see the moon start to separate midday from Venus. Even when it separates, it's okay because it's still in a trine to Uranus. So we're emotionally pivoting, readapting, changing. And the moon's coming into a trine with Neptune. So really great evening even to just spend time with family, have a home-cooked meal, connect with loved ones, get comfortable, take a bath. Tuesday night is a night to just really kind of decompress and still be able to, focus on being in the body, especially because we're going to be wanting to be prepared for some of the intensity that's coming on Wednesday. So that's going to take us into the evening. Then we're going to wake up on Wednesday, the 24th. And very early in the morning, the moon is at the late degrees of Cancer. So right around the 8:30-ish time period, I take that back, 9:30 Central. So that's going to be 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. In the morning, the moon will ingress into Leo, okay? So off the bat, we're picking up energy from the sun. So the Mars moon sextile the sun is communicating, sharing, acting. But Moon-Mars conjunctions can play out one of two ways. It's people who are rushing you to get to work, honking at you, causing conflict as you're trying to get to where you're going. There can be more accidents, more burns, more cuts, more abrasions. And there's this emotional pressure. Now, it can be more about creating and romance and having fun. Like that is possible. So I look at this and I go, some people might decide to play hooky and have a mental health day. And decide that they need a break from it all and that they'd rather, take their kids to Disneyland or go and hang out and go to the movies or stay, all day and, play at the park. There's going to be a sense of deciding that we want to break away from something, basically, because Moon-Mars is going to be about realizing emotionally that we need to have a change of pace. It's going to oppose Pluto, so there's going to be some relational issues where because we're stepping into what the heart wants, other people may not be thrilled about that. There can be some financial and relationship impacts that can come from this as well. And we're also going to be seeing that this conjunction is squaring the nodes. So Wednesday is you're going to think with your heart day, but there could be some consequences. And when planets square the nodes, we have things take place that bring about some kind of evolutionary change. So the positive, if you're not picking fights with people at work or, getting into it with someone, is that you might realize on Wednesday, I love this thing. I love this hobby. This is my most, favorite, pastime. You may decide that you want to spend the day creating and playing and, being romantic. I mean, these are wonderful expressions of this energy. But with all the squares to the North Node, to Jupiter, the oppositions to Pluto, be mindful of what you're creating this day. It could be you're creating a whole lot of drama, or you're creating what might be just like a total masterpiece. It depends on your own personal astrology. Because these placements are financial placements, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, I'm anticipating this is where there's going to be some really colorful stuff going on out in the world financially and in the stock markets. I'm curious to see what happens here, because it does kind of suggest that this is coming into the first square, right? When the moon goes through the sign of Leo to the most recent new moon. This will be the first quarter square. So even as the moon passes this point and it hits around that 27, 28 degrees, it's going to square Uranus and it's going to kick up some dirt. So Wednesday, Thursday, even Friday, little colorful. But this is going to be the most action-packed day. And when we see squares to the nodes, we feel like we're between a rock and a hard place. We don't know how to make a decision. We just know that the best decision that's going to take place is likely going to be the one that aligns with the heart, and it's likely going to be the one that's probably going to piss a lot of people off. As much as I hate to say that, it's going to be the thing that other people are going to maybe discourage you from doing. It may be what doesn't always make sense financially. It may be more creative and childlike and playful, but this is about tuning into the heart. But drama, I'm anticipating some drama here as well. Okay, so that's Wednesday. We're going to see that going on all day. Things do start to kind of calm down a little bit Thursday, but you'll see throughout the day Wednesday, the moon is then going to square the nodes. It's going to square Mercury. So there's a lot of like having to explain or feel like, no, we don't need to give an explanation as for why we reacted, behaved, or felt the way that we felt, right? Keep in mind, the sun's in Gemini, so people are going to be feeling like, just changing their mind, changing up their schedule. There is going to be some sense of breaking free and being like, no, I don't want to be sluggish. I need to have more action kind of going on. All right, so then this is going to take us into the 25th. This is going to be Thursday. Nothing really crazy is happening this day. What you are going to see is that Venus is sextiling Uranus. So there is an opportunity to kind of have some more pleasurable, exciting changes in finances, relationships, our domestic, zone, especially because Venus rules Taurus. So there can be a sense of this causing changes in regards to our home, our relationships, our finances, our security. That can definitely be a theme because we're dealing with both Taurus and Cancer. But generally the sextile is much more exciting and, moving around furniture or, people coming to kind of visit and have dinner or, getting something new for the home, having a change in our values or our resources. And that's really the only other kind of exciting thing that's happening. If we watch the moon continue to keep going through Leo, it's going to pick up a square to Uranus, but that's in the evening hours. Some of you guys will be asleep, but in the evening hours when the moon hits about 18, 19 degrees late, it's going to come into a square with Uranus, but that's going to be while most of you guys are sleeping, depending on where you are. Now, we wake up on the 26th, and this is when we're getting ready to see the Mars square the nodes exactly. It's still going to be in the skies and in the air on Thursday, but the actual square looks like it's not going to be coming in for a little bit longer. Okay, so this is the on Friday. So Mars will be at 3 degrees. It's coming in for this square, and it looks like the square is going to perfect somewhere around the PM hours. So it's going to be like around 12:30 p.m. Pacific, and it's going to be closer to 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so just know the afternoon on Friday, and this is why I think that we're really picking up the energy of the first quarter square. So this is the square degree from the new moon that we just had in Taurus. So this represents crisis in action. We're kind of needing to respond and react to something. We've got that squaring the new moon degree. We've got the sun building into a square with Saturn, which we're going to see set up over the weekend, which is going to be kind of like a slow your roll, reevaluate, make sure you have all the details before you speak out type of vibe. And we are also going to see Mars square the nodes. Interesting that the square will be at a Gemini degree, okay? Gemini degree is about communication, information. It can be about media. It can be about conversations. It can be about two sides of a situation. And then we also see the sun in Gemini coming into a square with Saturn. So watch for this. Friday might kick up some dirt as well. But I think with Mars square the nodes, it's about showing up, right? Actions having consequences, but it might be that moment where you're like, I have to step in and say, I'm done here. Or, I have to defend my beliefs, or I have to, go and protect the little guy and kind of stand up for myself. Mars square Jupiter is still about integrity and walking with integrity. And some people are going to feel like they have the right to, step in and say something. And it may not necessarily be for the right reasons. So just keep that in mind. Also, not everybody who's on their soapbox has reason to be there. And then in the PM hours, we're going to see the moon move into Virgo. So it'll kind of dip into Virgo here, and that's going to be much later in the evening on Friday. And on Saturday, the 27th, funky energy. Saturday is not my favorite day. We're going to see a mutable T-square set up. So obviously when the sun and the moon square, it's always a little funky. Things are kind of discombobulated. Things don't always go according to plan. This is all morning on Saturday the 27th. And we've got the sun, Saturn, and the moon all in mutable signs. And the sun is going to be the focal point of this T-square. So what does it mean? Sun square Saturn means that we need to kind of slow our roll. It means that it's not never, just not now, not yet, not ready yet. And really, honestly, I think with Mars being in Leo, there can be some people that are being held accountable for their behavior this week and not getting a text back and not getting a response, or not getting the job, or not getting the invite because of things that they have said or spoken out against. I can only speculate, but the fact that these are all setting up at a 6th degree, which is a Virgo degree, we're going to be hearing more about job numbers. We're going to be hearing more about some kind of health issue out in the media. Perhaps we're also going to be hearing about some very significant delays or travel delays because of storms. This is stormy weather. Neptune is going to be about the sea, or it's going to be about water. Gemini is going to be more about air and anything in regards to that. We've got air and fire sextiling each other. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some significant precipitation that's going to come in that's going to affect visibility and people's ability to get around. That can definitely be a theme. But also manipulation revolving around media. And, Mercury is still in its shadow period. As Mercury went retrograde these last few weeks, it went retrograde short of conjuncting Uranus, which means in regards to all the chaos with the banks collapsing and what's going on with interest rates and the Fed and, this debt ceiling, there is some information that was held back from the public. Okay. So we only know just a fraction of what's actually really going on. What likely we're about to find out when Uranus comes into a conjunction with Mercury is that there is some shocking news that's going to be revealed. And then we're going to be moving into Venus coming into an opposition with Pluto. And we're going to realize as we're getting into June and then later in the summer, just the reality of some of the financial situations and how dire things may potentially become. So watch for that as Mercury gets closer to Uranus. I think this may be the beginning period of realizing that certain narratives that we were hearing out in the world about health, about financial health, about resources, about job numbers, about inflation may not necessarily be what we thought it was. And there's going to be kind of like a moment that goes on over the weekend and just, coincidentally happens to be taking place over the weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects things on Monday. The key here, though, is I think with the moon being in Virgo, we have to really pay attention to Mercury. Okay, so to make lemonade here, We do have, you know, the moon that is trining the North Node. It is trining Mercury and also Jupiter. So it's saying, you know, it's important to get the details and the facts and the numbers and to go through everything and to confirm stuff and confirm schedules. If you're somebody who wants to make sure that clients are going to be confirmed and on time and all of those things, and you do that like on Sunday or Monday, you might want to start doing this on Saturday because you're going to have better aspects with the moon in a trine here than you will for the following 2 days. Like Sunday, Monday, it's not going to be as easy. So when in doubt, communicate and work through some of these communication blocks, because with the moon opposed Saturn, there's going to be a sense of not being able to communicate because some people are checking out, they're oversleeping, their phone's on silent, they're not ready to talk yet. And also people are going to get kind of ticked off because things are not going to go according to plan, or things are not going to be on schedule on Saturday, or there's going to be people who suddenly change their mind and change plans. With all this mutable stuff in the skies, it's about learning how to pivot, right? Learning how to pivot. All right, so then this takes us to Sunday of next week. We wake up in the morning on Sunday the 28th, and the sun is officially in its square to Saturn. We're going to feel that pretty much all day. We're picking up on that on Saturday, but it's exact on Sunday. And like I said, health, scheduling, service, things of that nature are going to come up. And we're going to finally start to see later in the day the Mercury trine, but more importantly, the Uranus trine. So watching the moon go through Virgo, and it's going to trine Uranus in the afternoon, and then it's going to sextile Venus. So it's like, okay, you know, we can make some of these changes. We can adapt in relationships. It is possible to get organized and get things together. There is going to be a sense of wanting order and wanting things to come together naturally, but we have to be flexible and be willing to make change with Uranus and Taurus. I recommend if you are going to try to make any plans or confirm or do anything, try to do this probably closer to the afternoon, after the moon has come out of the square with the sun, and before it comes into the opposition with Neptune in the evening hour. So kind of like that sweet spot is going to be in the afternoon. When the moon's in Virgo, we're all about, you know, what Mercury is doing. So Mercury is inching closer and closer to Uranus. So much of this retrograde period for many people has been reassessing, what is my budget? What can I afford? What am I eating? How do I feel in my body? Checking in with the physical and also checking in with the self-esteem and focusing on ways to simplify life, right? To get back down to basics, to really question how much do we need? How much is too much? So I like that the sun is going to trine Uranus, and it's going to teach us like maybe how to have a Sunday fun day without feeling like we break the bank. It can be spending time with pets. It can be spending time out in nature, doing things that may not necessarily require us to consume or buy or purchase things, but just kind of get back down to basics. And yeah, that's pretty much the week at a glance. You know, next week we're going to start to see, like I said, Mercury coming into conjunction with Uranus. That's going to be some interesting energy. And we're also getting ready to see Venus pretty soon going into Leo. So on that note, actually, I put it live on my website. So I know I've been kind of teasing it, letting you guys know I'm going to do a live webinar on Venus's retrograde in Leo. I'm going to do it early in June, right before, you know, we get into like July, and we won't actually see the Venus retrograde until the end of July. But I wanted to make sure I put something together that's like really insightful and has a lot of information and can really help give you guys some food for thought as to how to better kind of prepare for the Venus retrograde. So if you happen to be a Taurus or a Libra rising, you're ruled by Venus, or if you're a Leo or Leo rising, this Venus retrograde at the end of July going into the beginning of September is very loud, okay? It's going to retrograde. It's going to square Jupiter and Uranus. It's going to come into conjunction with Regulus, and we're going to see the South Node being in Libra. So I'm calling it a cruel summer. It is going to be action-packed, very dramatic, lots of changes of fate with relationships, soulmates, and also the financial system. So if you guys want to join me for my webinar, I'm going to be doing that in June. on a Sunday. I'll put the link below. I'll pin it so you guys can check it out. I'm giving $15 off for tickets for the webinar. So if you guys buy your ticket in June, you guys get $15 off automatically. And I'm going to be doing that early bird only until the end of the month. And if you can't make it for whatever reason on the day or the time, no worries. We're going to send you a link for a playback. So even if you're going to watch it at a later date, if you actually buy this in June, you're going to get it much cheaper. So I recommend getting that if you guys want to do that. We're going to have a limited number of seats that we're going to be selling. So please do check out that link. I'll be back on Friday. We're going to be doing live readings. It's going to be tarot. So check out the community tab. I'll be posting that if you guys want to jump in this week because it's going to be such a crazy week. If you need a tarot reading, we're going to be doing that by donation. You can find me here Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square. And then this next week, oh my gosh, it's almost June. So horoscopes are going to be coming out for June of 2023. So I'll have that coming out for you guys. Very busy for me because I'm going to be gone the beginning of June. So you guys are going to be watching videos, but I'm going to be on vacation. So I'm sure you guys will send me lots of love. I'll post all kinds of selfies on the beach. If you guys have not already checked out my website, if you want to, please do. I have all my courses for sale there. You can also book a personalized reading with me. Those of you guys who cannot or do not want to wait, I have some emergency slots available. I also offer reports that usually turn around within about a week in your email box. So check that out if you guys need readings. Otherwise, I will be back here in just a couple of days. Enjoy the week ahead. I hope Hayes week is good. Fingers crossed. And as always, let me know. Leave me your comments below. I'd love to hear how you're feeling with these energies and what plays out for you. Okay, that's enough for me. I'll see all of you guys very soon. Take care.